So, okay. So we have seen what is this. So all these things we have seen, like how to generate a response. So these are the basic steps for developing a REST API. So develop an API and deploy API within the server. So don't think that this is something else, but what it is trying to do is it is also one web application. It is also one web application. Yes or no? How you are creating this by using Django admin only. How you are creating this using Django admin, and then you are saying start a project and project name. But this is which project? Okay, this is which project? Okay, this is which project here. So this project can be either it can be API or it can be web application. It can be web API or it can be a web application. If it is a web application, it will provide. Okay, you'll try to access from where? Browser. If it is a web application, you're trying to access from browser. If it is a web API, you'll try to access from browser or different applications, because it doesn't generate the output in HTML. It generates output in the format understood by other languages. It is a format which understand by other languages, right? So this difference you have to understand. So because we are using the same command, for creating this project. So it means you may create a web application as a project, or you may develop a web API. So web application contain the model view and template. So in web API also you have a model view, but you don't have template. You don't have a template because it doesn't generate output in HTML. It doesn't render HTML, but will render in the form of which one? JSON, right? So, so that is what I said. If you want to test your API at the command prompt, first you have to install this. So pip install http IE. So install this and then type this command. Without installing this library, you cannot do it. Okay. First install the library and then check the path here. Check the path. Where you set the path, check the path. Huh? Is it path is set to the Python folder? You have to check all that. You cannot run directly, right? So open the command prompt. So here open the command prompt. So in the command prompt, so open the location. Anywhere you can execute it because you are connecting to what here? Server. So what is the command you are using? HTTP and send a request. HTTP and send a request to the view. Now you can see this is a output, right? But here text or HTML. So here you cannot see the body. You are removed. Just use HTTP and send a request. So you are sending a request to what here? View. So you can execute from browser also. Open the browser. So from here also you can execute, or you can send a request because browser even understand JSON. Okay, now this is the JSON here. So you can execute the same thing from the prompt. HTTP and send a request. Now you can see this is a request. Which project means your project is bind with a port number. So what is the port number here? 8000. So 8000 is what your port number. This port number is what? Where your project identifies this. Okay. If it is a multiple projects, then you try to run on different port numbers. If it is multiple projects, you have to run on different port numbers. Okay. So it is like that. Now this is one. So you can also generate. Okay. You can also generate. Now here, what you are trying to do, you are trying to convert dictionary. You are converting dictionary into which format? JSON format by using one method called what here? Dumps. So this dumps method, it converts this dictionary into what? JSON. And then you are generating a response by using what is that? HTTP response. And whenever you are generating HTTP response, you are trying to define the content to type. Because what is the default content to type is text and extension is what? HTML. But are you sending a text and HTML? No, you're sending which data? JSON data. So what is the type is application and what is the extension is JSON, right? So instead of writing this, you can directly use now here django.http, this package provide one class where you don't require to do any conversion. Sorry, where you don't require to do any conversion. You don't require to define content type. And what is the name of that is JSON response. So there is a JSON response. Now till now we use which response here? HTTP response. So where you try to define the content type and you try to convert the dictionary into what here? JSON, and then you are wrapping that into HTTP response and you are sending it. But instead of that, you can directly use JSON response. So JSON response is a predefined class or data type which generates, okay, which generate JSON what here? Response. So where you don't require to convert, where you don't require to define the content type, you don't require to define what here? Content type. So what is the default content type it will take? JSON only. What is the default content type it will take? JSON. You don't require to take the content type. Now this is available. This class is, so this class is existing. This class is existing. Django dot HTTP dot. What is the name of this is? JSON response. Now it is having, and in this you are wrapping. So Django dot HTTP dot. What is the name of this is? JSON response. Now you can say JSON response class is specialized subclass of which one? HTTP response, and designed to simplify sending JSON encoded data in a web application. It automatically serializes Python data like dictionary into JSON format and set the HTTP content type header to what application slash JSON. It means you don't require to write these two steps. You don't require to write this one as well as you don't require to define what here content type. So automatically it will set the headers of this JSON content type as what? Application slash JSON, and automatically it serializes means it will convert this dictionary into what? JSON format. You don't require to use which one? Jump. You don't require to use a dump, okay, where you try to convert, right? So dictionary into what? JSON. So that conversion is not required. You can directly use which one? JSON response. Okay. So it is a subclass of which one? HTTP response. It is a subclass of HTTP response. Assume that here you have a view. Okay, assume that I'm writing another view. So what is the name of the view is view 3, and where I'm writing a request. Now assume that you have an employee data again. So assume that this is my employee data. I want to convert this employee data into which format? JSON. I don't require to use. I simply write a response. Okay, response equal to HTTP response comma. Okay, HTTP response comma JSON response. HTTP response comma JSON response. So here I'm trying to use JSON response and I'm wrapping. What is the dictionary I've wrapped here? EN. So what will happen? This dictionary converted into what? JSON. And return. Okay, what I'm returning here? Response. You're converting this dictionary into JSON. Now you don't require to use what here? Dumps. And you don't require to define the content type. Okay, now you can execute this. You can execute this directly from the command prompt by just giving the view, but I should give URL. So what is the name of this is? Okay, view 3. So path. So what is the name of this is view 3, comma view 3. Okay, now send a request from the command prompt. You can see it is read the data in which format? JSON format. So this is the HTTP headers, HTTP response headers. Now which version of HTTP is used? 1.1. And what is the HTTP response status code? 200. So this 200 indicates the response has been processed, request has been processed what here? Successful, and output is generated successfully. And this is a content length. These are called response headers. And there is a content type and there is a date. There is a refer policy. There is a server. And what is the server you are using? WGS server. Okay. And this is the data what you are trying to send it. But here I'm trying to test it. Here I'm trying to test it from where here? Command prompt. Command prompt. I'm trying to test it from where here? Command prompt. But I want to test it by writing one application. I want to use What application? Standalone application or mobile application? Okay. So how can I test it? By executing from application. How can you test it? By executing from application. This is views.py. I just copy only views, but remaining thing you have to set it. Okay, now I don't require to write everything, right? Huh? Is it required to type all settings and all the things? No, right? Because already you know it. Okay, so until unless you don't define the URL, you cannot access what here? View. Until unless you don't, okay. So how can I test or how can I access or how can I send a request to the, or how a standalone application can consume the web API? Okay, now I want to write a Python program. I want to write a Python program. So from this Python program, I want to send a request to the web API and I want to see the details of what? Employee. I want to see the details of employee. So here I'm sending a request from where? Python program. Now this is which program? Python program. And this Python program is called which program? Standalone program. This is a standalone program, or it is which application? Desktop application. It is a standalone program or it is a desktop application. Now from this application, I want to send a request. From this application, okay, from this application, I want to send a request. Then how can I send a request and how can I consume the data? Suppose, assume that I'm developing one simple standalone application where I required whose data? Employee data. Or I'm developing a standalone application where I want to communicate with some payment gateway. Then what I required? I required what I required. What I need to know? URL. I need to know what? URL. The URL consists of consists of IP address, port number, resource name. And here the resource is called as an endpoint. Here the resource is called as what? Endpoint. So you need to know the URL. Until unless you don't know the URL or address, you cannot access any resource. Until unless you don't know the URL, you cannot access any resource. Now this is my standalone application, and I want my standalone application use a web API. Means want to use whose data? Employees data. Want which data? Employee data. But who's give this employee data? A web API or web service. What is the name of that service is? What is the name of that service? View 3. This view 3 is generating the employee data or not? Yes. Okay. But this is which application? Standalone application. Then how this application send a request to the web API? How this application send a request to the web API or web application? Right. So for that, you have one library. You have one library or one package. And what is the name of the package is request. What is the name of the package? Request. Now this request, what is the name of the package? Request is a package. And using this package, you can able to send and provide the methods or functions by using which you can send a request to whom? View. View is nothing but here every view. In this case, view is what? Web service. Your view is what? Your web service. And that will take the input and process it and generate the output. And this output is consumed by which application? Standalone application or desktop application. Now here we have to install. We have to install one library. See, you can test it at the command prompt by using which utility? HTTP. Okay. It is only for testing. But if you want to consume in your application and use the data, then you need to develop one application. Then how your application send a request to what? How your application send a request to the web API. For that, your standalone application uses one library. What is the name of the library? Request. Now you have to install this. Otherwise, if I run this, now you get a message. Oh, it is there already. If it is not there, you get an error. Okay. So I think it is there. I've not removed. Might be. So people list. See the list of. So what is the name of the packages? Request. So first you install this. Pip install. Pip install. What is the name of this is? Request. So pip install request. Now you can see this requirement is already satisfied. Okay. Then next is how to send a request to web API or web API or web service from standalone application or which application? Desktop application. So for that, your standalone application uses one library called which one? Request. So standalone application uses a library called a request. See, I'm not using DRF. I'm not using DRF. You understood? Okay, I'm just telling you the basics, like how web service process the request and generate the output. Okay. Now DRF provides some predefined things, and customizing the things and validating things becomes what? Easy. So framework provide inbuilt things. If no framework, then everything you have to write it. If there is no framework, you have to write everything. If it is a framework, then use it and build it. So less coding. But here you have to write everything again and again. So repetition of coding will be there. All the things will be there. That can be avoided by using what? DRF, that is Django REST framework. This is standalone application here, Kamal. So uses a library called request. This is a standalone application. Standalone application uses a library called which one? Request. Now you have to install this library. Install this library. Now this is a library which has to be installed. And this request is a library which provide sending a request to what? Web service. Sending a request to a web service by using various methods. Now, whenever you are talking about REST, it will try to communicate with a web service by using HTTP. And HTTP provide various request methods like get method, post method, put method, delete method. All these are what request methods. So get is a request to read information from the server, and put is a method to write information to the server. Creating a resource is done by using a put method. Updating the resource is done by using, creating a resource is done using post method. Updating the resource is done by using put method. Deleting resource is done by using delete method. It means whenever client want to consume the service, now you want to send a request using which method, which operation you are doing it. Are you doing a creation operation or update operation or delete operation or reading operation? Based on that, use a specific method. So here request provide, request provides, request provide. Yeah, there are so many libraries out there, but this is one of the library which is very popular. Okay, request provides. So here, now whenever you send a request, what request requires some input, right? You are sending a request to the resource. Okay, resource. What is the resource is? Suppose that resource you call it as what here? Endpoint. That resource is called as which one? Endpoint. And what is the endpoint here? View 3. The endpoint is what? View 3. And where this view 3 is there, this is a web service or not? Yes. And this web service is there where? In the server you deployed in one place or not? Yes. Okay. So that you can call it as what do you call it as? Base URL. So that can be called as which one? Base URL. So what is a base URL? You are saying HTTP. Just take this complete path. So take this complete path, including complete path including port number. So what is the base URL? HTTP 127.0.0.1. Now this is your application. This is your web API, and this is a resource. It means you are sending a request to which service? View 3. You are sending a request to which service here? View 3. Okay. But how can you send a request? Okay. Now you are sending a request. You are sending a request by saying request dot. What is the default request method is? Get. What is the default request method is? Get. Right? It means this method, what this method is doing, it is reading data or not? Yes. Are you writing data? Is it this service is inserting data, writing data, reading data, reading data? It is not writing a data, it is reading the data. So what is the default request method is? Get. Now here request is having various request methods. Request is having various request methods. You can see there is a method called get. There is a method called delete. There is a method. So various request methods are there. Put like that. So what is a base URL? Now see here base URL. This is a base URL, and you are concatenating what? Endpoint. See, if you want, you can directly give. What you can give? See, you can directly give. What you can write? So like this also you can write, because why you are separating this base URL and resource? Because if any changes in resource or endpoint, you can do changes only in endpoint without doing changes in URL. Nothing or not. Because of that, you are just concatenating. You can directly write get what is the name of this is URL. Means this is a Python standalone program who's sending a request to what here? View 3. And this view 3 generates the output. And this output you can call it as response. So this is a response, and I'm trying to say print. Print what is that? Response. Now run the program. When you run the program, now the response and response status code. And what is the response status code? 200 is successful. But I want to see the content. I want to see the content, or I want to read the content. I'm saying response dot. I'm writing a response dot. So the response is generated in which format? Response is generated in which format? JSON format. So I'm just using a method called what? JSON. I'm just using a method called which one? JSON. And this is EMP or not? Yes. I'm saying print EMP and type of EMP. So EMP is which type here? Dictionary. Now deserialization is also done. Deserialization also done. Okay. Serialization is done and deserialization is done, right? So here it is converted that JSON response into which type? Dictionary type. But here you are consuming. We'll see the response status codes. What is 400 to 500 is 500 to. Okay. We'll discuss about response status codes and how to handle that response status. Suppose if my response status is not JSON, okay, I can write simply response dot. Okay, response dot. You can get the content as what here text. You can get the content as what here text response text. So I just write here EMP. Now you can see now this is dictionary, but is it get the text or not? Yes. So the text you can use it to get the content, response content. You can get it by using a attribute called text. You can use the attribute called text, and this text is which type here? String. So you can get it by using which attribute here? Text. But text returns in which format? String. Text returns that value in which format? String. Okay, right? So this is sending a request from which application here? Standalone application. What do you do it? How you test it? So create a which program? Python program. Where you write a Python program? Anywhere you can write PyCharm, VS Code. Anywhere you can write it and test it. Create a Python program to test a web service. Okay. So this is a program. So this is a program here. And when you run this program, this is what will happen. How your mobile application handle. Your mobile application handle. Okay, how it will send your mobile application, how it will send a request to the web service by using some library provided by whom? Mobile application. Suppose if you develop mobile application using Python, you send it by using which package? Request. If it is Java, you use some other library. If it is a .NET, you use some other library to communicate with what? Endpoints. To communicate with endpoints or to communicate with the web services. Okay, right. Now here, I try to send a request by using which method? Get method. But I may send a request by using post method. I may send a request by using delete method because whenever you are talking about REST, so REST uses standard methods to communicate with what web service. Standard methods to communicate with what web service. If you want to create a resource, then compulsory use which method? Post method. If you want to delete a resource, compulsory use which method? Delete method. If you want to update the resource, compulsory use a method called what? Put method. If you want to read the information, then use a method called get method. Getting on. So these are the methods. These are standard methods which are used by the consumer to connect with what endpoints. Getting on. Same like suppose it is just like crude operation like inserting, updating, deleting, and what retrieving. But these are the standards which are given by whom? REST. Getting or not, right? So how can I handle this different types of requests? You can write a view in which you can identify the request method. If the request method is a get, okay. If the request method is a get, suppose I'm writing a view this is a view 4 where you are trying to handle multiple types of requests. Here I'm writing if request dot method double equal to what here? Get. If request dot method double equal to get, okay, you are sending a response. So what is that return? Okay, return JSON response. Okay, this is a message. And this is which response? Get response. Okay, this is a get response or get request. Okay, they generated by using which method? Get method. I just write a get method. So output is generated by using get method. Else if request dot method double equal to what here? Post. Request dot method equal to post. I'm saying return. I'm saying here return. Okay, return JSON response. Return JSON response. And here I'm trying to convert this message. JSON means always you send the value as a key and value. So this is what here post method. Okay, else if request dot method equal to put request dot method equal to put I'm saying return. Okay, JSON response. So this is a message. And what is the message is? Now this is which method here? Put method. Okay, else if request dot method, if the request method is what here, delete. It means one view is trying to handle how many requests? Multiple requests. And this is a message. And what is the message is delete method. So delete method. Means you try to write everything in one view. You try to write everything in one view or one service. You try to write everything in one view or one service. Now this is a view 4 and I'm trying to define the path here. So what is the path is view 4. Okay, comma. So what is the name of this is view 4 here. Now whenever you are sending a request, okay, whenever you are sending a request, now that's the reason I said one URL can have multiple endpoints. Because of that, endpoint can be same, but you may send a different request. Now this is which request? Get request. So print, okay, response dot, what is that? Text. But what is the name of the service is view 4. What is the name of the service is view 4. Now this is providing various operations like get operation, post operation. I'll tell you like what is the get is reading data. What is the post is inserting data. What is put is updating the data. What is delete is deleting data. All these operations we'll discuss. But right now we are just displaying only the message. Now when you run this code, now you can see hmm, text. So when you run this, now you send a request using which method? Get method. You send a request using get method. Okay, I can send a request. Okay, response equal to request dot post method by sending which one? URL. And here I'm saying print a response dot. What is the method is text is an attribute which return the response. But whenever you send a request using a post method, now it is given error here. So can you see this error 403 forbidden? So CSRF verification failed. Request is what? Abort. Because whenever you send a request using which method? Post method, you have to send which one? CSRF token should be generated or not? Yes. But later I'll tell you how to generate the CSRF token. But what you can do is you can disable generating of CSRF token. How can you bypass it? By using one middleware, right? So who's generating CSRF token is a middleware called CSRF view middleware. I just put this in comments. But in real time, you don't do this. In real time, you don't do this. Compulsory, you have to verify CSRF token. But for testing purpose, I just disable this CSRF token in middleware. So because whenever you send a request to the view by using a post method or get method, post method or put method or delete method, it will try to verify which one CSRF token by which one middleware. What is a middleware is a program which is executed before sending the request to the view and before sending the response to what client. So before sending the request to the view, it identifies the request method. What is the request method is post. Then compulsory, it will verify CSRF token. It will verify the CSRF token, but is it your view or your server is generated any CSRF token? No. So that's the reason it is given what error. Now you try to disable this CSRF verification by commenting which one middleware. But there are different ways in which you can generate CSRF token that we'll discuss. Okay, but just try to understand this. So when you run this code, you can see this is a get method and this is what here post method. Okay, but is it CSRF verification is bypassed or not? Yes. But how? By disabling that middleware. I'm writing a response equal to request dot. What is the method is put. The request dot put. I just write here URL and print. So print response dot text. Okay, response equal to request dot. What is the method you are using? Delete URL and then I'm saying response dot text. So you are trying to use how many request methods here? 4. Get to post to put and one more is delete. But you can also use a patch that also we'll discuss. You can see get method, post method, put method, and one more is what? Delete method. So this is one view. This is one view. Is it able to handle all the request methods or not? Yes. Suppose if any changes in get, you have to do changes in what? View. If any changes in post, you have to do changes in what? View. Getting on it because everything is coupled within one function. But instead of writing everything in one function, you can develop which view? Class-based view. You can develop which view? Class-based view. Now this is view 4 dot py. Are you getting what I'm writing it? Yes. Now this is a web service. What is view here? Web service. Your view is a web service. This is a web service. Okay, what this service is doing, taking the request, processing it and generating response. That is, it's generating a response to whom? Different application. That's the reason. What is the content type is application. What is the extension is JSON. It can used by any application. If it is HTML extension, it is used by only browser. Getting or not? So everything will be the same. But only the thing is, you have to serialize the data. You have to deserialize the data. Getting or not? Suppose Java application send data to what? Django. Is a Java application, Java data types and Python data types both are same or different? Different. Then how they communicate with each other by using one standard or not? Yes. What is that format is? JSON. Understood? So developing web service is very easy because already you know views. Okay, right? Yes. So this is a view and then you write an application to test it. It means as a backend developer, you develop two things. One is you develop web application and you also develop web services. You develop a web application and you also develop a web service. So after developing web application, now you want your web application resources to be accessed from mobile application. Then you need to develop web services. Web services for what? Mobile application. Getting or not? Okay. So this is a rest test to do. That's the reason any project you take, you find two apps. One is web application and one more is a mobile. Suppose hdfcbank.com and HDFC mobile application, WhatsApp web, WhatsApp mobile application, Instagram web, Instagram mobile application. Yes or no? Okay. Any web you find equivalent what? Mobile. Amazon web, Amazon mobile. Yes or no? So you can do shopping on web, you can do shopping on mobile. But is it restricted access or not? Yes. You don't have all the things in mobile. It's a lightweight, right? It is having only the things which are required, but not all the things find in what? Mobile app. Not all the things find in what? Mobile app. It means it consumes certain services of which application? Web application using web services. Correct or not? Right? So this is how you are trying to do it. Now, some people, they develop only web services. They develop only services which are consumed by different applications, right? Suppose if you take, so Google Pay is there. Google Pay. Now, is it any website called Google Pay? No, no, yes, sir. Google Pay website is there. Google Pay. Google Pay website. No. There's only Google Pay. Pay.google. No. There's no application called Google Pay. But what it is providing? Services. Web service. Google Pay is what? Web service. Getting on. Suppose in the same way, what is this here? Chat GPT is there. Chat GPT. What is Chat GPT? Web application. Chat GPT is what? Okay, Chat GPT is what here? Web app. Web application. Web application or not? Yes. क्या लिखे यहाँ पे? chatgpt.com. कहाँ पे? ब्राउजर में. जो भी ब्राउजर से सेंड करते हैं वो क्या है? Web application. Web application. And this is response in what? HTML or not? Yes. Here you prompt it. You give a prompt here or not? Yes. After giving a prompt, when you press enter, what will happen? Send a request. It will send a request to what? Model. That is a backend or not? Yes. Model. Model provides some services or not? Yes. So it means at the backend. So this is front end and backend. Backend, which one is there? Web application is there. What is the backend is web application. Now, web application means now from this front end, assume that if it is developed in Django, now there is one view. There is one view. This view, what will happen? It will receive the request. This request it will receive. After receiving the request, what it will do? It should send this prompt to what? Model. So model is deployed in one place or not? Yes. Then how can I communicate with that model? It is provided one web service by whom? Open AI. It is provided by whom? Open AI. Open AI is provided one web. Web, what is that? API. It is provided one API. By using that API key or API, I can communicate with what? Model. What is that model is? GPT model. What is the name of that model is? GPT model. Getting or not? Right? So you are sending a request to the web application. Web application is consuming which one? API. Whose API? GPT API, which is provided by Open AI. So service means that is example is best example is Google Pay. Okay, so it is not a web application. It is not a public APIs. Now see here again, APIs can be a public or it can be what, private. API can be either public or what, private. So private means you have to use that. It means for every user, some key is provided, and using that key only you can able to what, communicate. Okay, it means is it a free or it is a free or paid? Paid. It is not a free. They'll charge something, right? They charge something. Suppose if I want to use OpenAI, okay, there is a free and there is a charging per month or per year. Okay, for that it generates separate key or not? Yes. So you have a private services and you have what, public services. If it is a public, then anyone can access it. If it is a private, only restricted users can access it, or registered users can access it, or authenticated users can access it. Getting or not, right? Yes. Now, instead of writing everything in one view, now if you want to integrate Google Payment as a part of your project, then you have to take API key from Google Pay. You have to take an API key from whom? Google Pay. Google Pay, you have to take it. API key you have to take by doing some payment. You have to take some payment. They send a URL. You cannot find the URL of that. Okay, who will send URL? Those people will send a URL and API key. So whenever payment is done, it will try to verify that API key. If it is valid, then only it allows. Otherwise, it doesn't allows. Understood? Right? Yes. Huh? Yeah. Now this is how it is done. Now instead of writing, see here, instead of writing, all the request methods, instead of writing all the methods in one view, okay, as one function, you can split into number of function. You can split into number of functions so that understanding becomes what, easy. Then you can go for which view, class-based views. Okay, you can go for which view, class-based view. Now, what is the name of this is some view 5, and view 5 is which view, generic view. It is a generic view. Where is that view class is available in? Tell me here. How many ways can you develop a views? Two ways, function-based, class-based. Okay, function-based, class-based. Class-based avoid redundancy. Okay, and there will be a clear separation for each request method. Okay, now from tell me here, Django dot use Django dot views. What is the name of the class is view. From Django dot views, import which class, view class. Import view, and here you can override some request methods or not. Yes. Now what is the method you are overriding? Get method. Which method are you overriding? Get method. Now what get is having? A request. And now it is an instance method or not? Yes, self comma request comma star args and star keyword arguments. It means can you send a values to this get method or not? Yes. Has which parameters? Captured parameters. Okay. Now this will generate a response. This will generate a response. What is the response is get method. What is the response here? Get method. Now I'm writing a separate method for what? Post. So this is a which method here? Post method. Now instead of writing, so instead of writing, okay, get method, and one more is what? Post method. Kya yaar? After 3 months and long conversion with GitHub team, I got my GitHub account back. Congratulations. आ जाओ पार्टी मनाएंगे. हाँ? पार्टी कब दे रहे फिर कमल यादव? हाँ? कब आ रहे इधर कमल भाई? सुना कहाँ पे रहते आप? यू आर देयर इन वेयर? यू आर वेयर विच प्लेस यार? यूपी. व्हाट इज द फेमस इन यूपी? खाने के लिए, खाने के लिए, खाने के लिए यार. नॉट फॉर सीइंग. फॉर ईटिंग विच वन इज फेमस यार? बुलडोजर. मार वाले था. मारना. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट फेमस कुछ नहीं है. वो तो मालूम है बुलडोजर है पूरा. हाँ? नहीं यार वो पूरा मालूम है मेरे को. Khatta is a famous, eh? Okay. Nako here. Okay, no problem. Now here, I try to write various methods here. Get method, post method, and put method. So handling all these request methods becomes what here? Easy. Instead of combining everything in one function, you write a separate function for handling get request. You write a separate function to handle post request. You write a separate function to handle what? Put request. You are trying to write different methods here. Okay. So what is the name of this is? Delete. ये पूरा याद रखना बाद में नहीं बोलना कि ये क्या है वो क्या है हाँ yeah star because from beginning onwards you are seeing the views but this view is different and that view is different. This view generate JSON response, previous view generate HTML response. That's all. Pura same here. Okay. Let's change only content, but different contents. Don't think that always it is in what? JSON. Okay. But that is a standard way of exchanging it. Okay. Now here I'm writing return. Now this is which method here? Delete method. Okay, right? So this view is it itself handle how many requests here? 5 requests. So that is a get 4 requests. Get post put and one more is what? Delete. But what is the difference between function based and class based? Easy to what? Understand. There will be a separate method to handle get and post. You don't require to write if and else. 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 Right? Yes. Now register this. So what is the name of this is view 5. Bolo here, how to register this path? What is the name of the view? View 5 slash. What is the name of the view 5 dot as a callable as view method or attribute or method only, right? Right. So as view because you should convert this class base to what? Callable. So for callable, you are calling which method as view method. Okay. Now you can send a request from this application. What is the name of the application? View 5. You are sending a request to which service? View 5. And that handle how many requests? 4 requests, get request, post request, put request, and delete. But there is a different methods for doing this or not? Yes. You can see get method, post method, put method, and one more is what? Delete method. Understood? Right? Yes. So first try to understand this. Then we'll do all operations. So this is a view. Now view 5 dot. This is class based view. This is class based view to handle multiple multiple types of what here? Requests. Class based view to handle multiple types of requests. This is view 5 dot py. Now you have to test it. So test it by writing one application. Okay. So this is a REST test. Okay, right? Now this is the output of this code. So how many ways you can develop web service? 2 ways. One is function based and one more is what? Class based. Function based and class based. So it is a web application or web API. So the way how you are understanding, right? So project creation is same. Writing is the same. Everything is what? Same. Everything is the same. You'll also use model. You'll also use what? Model. So you read data from model. When you read data from model, it returns which instance? Model instance. So model instance is one object or not? Yes. I want to send that model instance to the client. Then what I have to do? I have to convert that model instance into what? Dictionary. Then Django REST framework provide model serializers. What it provide? Model serializer. What is the use of model serializer? Converting model into what? JSON. Serializing is nothing but converting model instance from dictionary to what? JSON. JSON to dictionary to what? Model instance. I don't require to do what? Conversion. That is provided by whom? Django REST framework. But if I'm not using Django REST framework, every conversion has to be done by programmer. You have to do the conversion. You have to convert model instance into dictionary and dictionary into what? JSON. And then you have to generate the response. You need to check the validation. Everything has to be done by whom? programmer only. Okay. So serializers are very important because serialization is a process of serialization is a process of that is what you learn in Python, right? Pickle module. Pickle. क्या हुआ सुने नहीं सुने खाने के नहीं library. Okay. So pickle module provide dumps, loads. Okay. Yes. Okay. So serialization is a process of in pickle module is a process of converting object type into what? Byte type. Bytes. How you convert your object into a sequence of bytes? Serialization. Pickling. That is called as which process? Pickling. And converting your bytes into what again? Object type is called deserialization. And that you can call it as unpickling. Converting object stream into byte stream and byte stream into what? Object stream. That you call it as serialization and deserialization. Flattening the object. How can you flatten the object? By using what? Serialization. How can you flatten the object by using serialization? So all those concepts you implement here. जब भी आप serialization बोल के word सुनते हैं ना, then you have to think that you are converting this object into some type. You are converting this object into some type. So that process you call it as what? Serialization. Understood? Right. This is yeah. Now this is how you write a view. But whenever you are talking about this manual, see when you are trying to see always you develop a web service. Always you develop a web service to perform how many operations? 4 operations. Always you develop a web service to perform how many operations? 4 operations only. Getting or not? Okay, what is that operations is? Reading, get, post, put, and delete. So if you want to insert data, use which method? Put method. You have to remember these methods. Okay, you know the endpoint. You know the operation, then you have to use a method. Okay, you are doing which operation? Okay, you are using a put for inserting data into the model. You are using a get to read the data from what? Model. You are using a delete to remove data from what? Model. You are using a patch or put patch or what is that put for updating data in what? Model. Partial update, full update. Partial update and full update that can be done using a put and one more is what? Patch methods. But what is the problem? Suppose whenever you are trying to convert data, see here, whenever you are trying to convert, suppose this data, this employee data is there, right? So this employee data I'm using in how many methods? Get method, post method, put method as well as what? Delete method. Then what I have to do? I have to convert this EMP data into which format? JSON format. It means you are trying to write these 2 lines of code or not? Yes. You are writing these 2 lines of code again and again. Now this repetition of code can be avoided by writing one function. You can avoid it by writing one function when you are using which views? Function based views. Okay. If it is a class based view, you can write one class. If it is a class based view, you can write one class and that class can be inherited by what? View. That class can be inherited by what? View. And that class, you generally call it as mix-in class. That class is called as which class? Mix-in class. Generally, this mix-in class is mix-in. Mix means mixed. Okay, now with this view, you are mixing some other functionality. It means you are mixing which functionality? External functionality. You are adding more fun. Now that you can call it as which inheritance? Multiple inheritance. Multiple view comma. If I'm writing any other class here, this view is inherited how many classes? 2 classes. If a class is inherited from more than one parent class or base class, then it is called which inheritance? Multiple inheritance. It means this view is having properties of which class? View class. It is having properties and behavior of which class? X class. Now, this X, generally you call it as which class? Mix-in class. In Django point of view, it is called as which class? Mix-in class to achieve which inheritance? Multiple inheritance. So what is the base class for this view is view. If you want to develop a view by using which class? View. But you want to add some more functionality. But that functionality is there in some other class. Then you have to mix that functionality into this view or not? Yes. Then you inherit another class. That you call it as multiple inheritance. That will avoid code redundancy. That will avoid what? Code redundancy. You write the code only. What is the advantage of inheritance? Reusability, extensibility. Yes or no? Reusability as well as extensibility. Reusability. You are using the content of one class inside another class. You are extending the functionality. Means you are adding some new features to the existing class without modifying it. Even that you can do it by using inheritance or not. Yes. Now I'll try to explain you what is this mixin class and what is the use of this mixin classes. Not today, but I'll try to tell you tomorrow, right? So today we'll stop here and tomorrow we'll continue this. But up to this clear, okay? So practice karo ek baar, malum hota. So install HTTP IE to test it, command prompt, install request to test from Python program. You want to test from Python program, use request. So you have to install that. Okay, na? Right. Thank you. We'll see tomorrow. Right.